After 5 days of voting, Russia has released the results of its 4 referenda held on sovereign Ukrainian territory, to the surprise of absolutely no one. The Kremlin says all 4 regions voted in favour of joining Russia. Ukraine and the West say the vote and the results are a sham.
Russian-installed officials in Ukraine's Donetsk region declared victory late Tuesday after the results of a hasty vote there pointed towards joining Russia. Donetsk is one of 4 occupied regions of Ukraine where 5 days of voting has taken place, so-called referendums that Kiev and the West have denounced as shams. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russia wasn't even trying to hide it.
This farce in the occupied territories cannot even be called an imitation of a referendum. What would be proclaimed as results were known beforehand. Even the intelligence community didn't have to put too much effort into it. The agreed-upon figures for this farce were leaked to the media. Russia is blatant about it.
The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said they were planning to introduce a resolution to the body in the coming days.
So we are putting forward a resolution with Albania that condemns the sham referenda, calls on all states to not recognize any altered status of Ukraine, and obligates Russia to withdraw its troops from Ukraine immediately.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Russia's ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, however, dismissed the accusations and said the referendums were conducted transparently and in line with electoral norms.
More than 100 independent international observers observed it from 40 countries. They actively put their opinions in the media, and they were particularly surprised by the enthusiasm of the people and how enthusiastic they were about the referendum and how long they had waited to hear this. Unfortunately, you won't hear this.
The regions that stand to be annexed, Donetsk and Luhansk in the east, as well as Zaporizhia and Kherson in the south, make up about 15% of Ukrainian territory altogether. Kiev says it will press on with plans to retake all territory occupied by invading forces. One senior Russian official said annexation could come as early as next week. If Russia annexes the 4 Ukrainian regions, Russian President Vladimir Putin could portray any Ukrainian attempt to recapture them as an attack on Russia itself. He might also make good on recent threats to use nuclear weapons to defend what he calls the territorial integrity of Russia.
For more on all of this, we are joined by Ksenia Kondratieva, an independent journalist based in St. Petersburg in Russia. And Ksenia Kondratieva, thanks so much again for being with us today. Give us a sense of where this all heads now. This is a very pugnacious move by Russian President Vladimir Putin, organising these referenda in the first place, riding roughshod over the United States and other governments around the world, the European Union and many others, that absolutely are going to refuse to recognise the outcome of these polls. But where does it leave those 4 regions, the people in them, and what does it say about Vladimir Putin's general appetite towards Ukraine in the months ahead?
Hi, thanks for having me and thanks for the questions. Speaking of the appetite, I don't think that's the way one would put it, because even in your introduction of the referendums, you said that Russia declared this, Russia declared that. I would like to draw upon the 2 separatist republics that declared their independence. It was their decision. It was people's decision, held taken through such referendums in 2014. So for last 8 years, they have been, quasi-state as we call, but they have stated that they wanted to be apart from Ukraine, which eventually means they want to be a part of Russia in some future. That happened 8 years back. And for last 8 years, we've not heard much from the Western leaders or from the, leadership that They were not fine with that. So that's one thing. Zaporozhye and Kherson, this is a different case because those are territories of Ukraine that were captured during the ongoing conflict. There you would, first of all, you would see slightly different results in those regions. And you have to keep in mind that not the entire region is under Russia's control. So I think it's very, of course, the results are dubious because people would be scared of both voting and not voting because people would hesitate. They don't know what's coming. And we've seen with the Russia's retreat from the northern Kharkiv region, where people sort of, I believe some of them thought that, okay, Russia is here, and they started, working with the Russian officials and so on. And then the Ukraine came back, and, there were all kinds of atrocities against those people because they're called collaborators. So this is a very crucial detail, and it's very different for people in Donetsk and Luhansk. You go outside the street, you ask them, they have been waiting for this. I mean, I've interviewed so many people who said that we don't know why it took 8 years and so much of our blood, because it's their people who are fighting in the front lines. It took so many lives and so many years, so many hardships for this decision to be taken by Russian government to finally conduct those referendums. So in Kherson, you will see a very different picture. There are a lot of people who don't want Kherson to be a part of Ukraine, who see Kherson as a part of Russia, I'm sorry, who see Kherson as the Ukrainian city. How representative of those results, we don't know. But definitely people were not voting at a gunpoint like Western media would say. I mean, there is not a single Western reporter in Donetsk, Luhansk, or Kherson. So, how do you believe those reports? That's up to you.
Right, but Ksenia, there is evidence that the army was going door to door in some of those regions in a bid to ensure that the voting went the right way. I mean, I accept your point about there being no independent observers there, but there's certainly video to support the contention that this was not held in a normal fashion.
I'm sorry, but you are completely mistaken. I've spent 2 weeks in Donetsk and 1 week in Mariupol. While Mariupol, which, the tragedy has happened there, the entire world knows what Mariupol is. It's the safest place right now in entire Donbass. In Donetsk, people are living under constant shelling. The missiles are falling everywhere. So the guerrilla war that Ukraine has staged in those areas is enormous and effective. Officials and general people have been blown up in their cars. So who is going to people's houses? Why the voting was arranged in such a way that let's say government officials, they are not government officials, they're school teachers who were going from door to door and collecting votes. Why? Because people are scared to go outside the streets. You should go to Donetsk and experience how it is. You should listen to report of my colleagues who are there in Donetsk right now. It's bam, bam, bam every second. So I'm not exaggerating because I've been there. And, people are scared to go out. That's why door-to-door voting was arranged. And the military is accompanying the people because they can be blown up by the, guerrilla fighters. That is happening, and it's not being reported.
All right. Ksenia Kondratieva, independent journalist, joining us from St. Petersburg in Russia today. Thanks for your time once again. I hope we'll see you again soon.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.